Hello, everybody. How are we all doing? So, Leeds United are not going to play any football for a little while. However, outside the world of Leeds United, there is an international break happening that everyone sort of hates and no one wants us to be in because it's an absolute pain in the arse. However, that doesn't mean that we can't watch anything for these few days. That means simply that our players are just going to be somewhere else, and we can support them as Leeds United players whilst they're not playing for Leeds, if we want to. If we don't want to, that's also fine. But I think we generally have quite a lot to learn from this international break, so I'm going to use this stream to sort of go through some of the best matches for Leeds United fans to watch during this international break, because there will be some. There'll be a lot of good stuff. And I'm going to sort of keep an eye out on some of it, including the fact that I'm working one of them as a shift. But even then, it could be very, very interesting. So, to start with, we've got the very, very obvious bunch of international players that are currently at Leeds United. We've got the Wales gang. Carl Darlow, Joe Rodon, Ethan Ampadu, normally Dan James, but Dan James is a little bit of a boo-boo, which means that he can't make it. He's got a hamstring injury. Not entirely sure if he'll be able to make it back for the post-international break match, but we'll have to find out, I guess. And for each of these matches, I'm sort of putting a little question mark and saying, well, okay, so what's the important thing to keep an eye out on here? And the first one is, what exactly is Ethan Ampadu's role? Because we know that at Leeds last season, he spent a hell of a lot of time at centre-back. At Leeds this season, he's playing in midfield instead. But in possession, he's sort of dropping into a centre-back role a lot of the time in like a 3-1-6 shape that makes sure that we have a little bit of solidity at the back and are working our way forwards in addition to that. So it could be interesting to see how exactly he's going to play under the new system. And in addition to that, like, how do he and Rodon play together here? Because there's one of the most promising number 10s in football right now up against him in that first match against Turkey in Arda Güler. And if he and Rodon are able to effectively shut Güler down and stop that being a problem, then that makes me feel very, very, very happy for the season ahead. On the other hand, if that doesn't happen, then there's potential to be a little bit spooked. There's no one of Guller's level in the Championship, just to be completely clear about that. Like, he vastly outstrips the entire division, but it could still give a sort of indication. And someone else that I'm going to keep an eye on is Carl Darlow. Good evening, Marcus, by the way. I'm streaming this in case you're watching afterwards. Looking forward to your Co-op FM with Joe Wainman. I think it's going to be very, very fun. I think it's going to be absolute chaos. And Einar is seeing the Welsh Gang in October, which is absolutely spectacular. The Welsh Gang sounds a little bit like a band. But in addition to that, are we likely to see any minutes for Carl Darlow? I severely doubt it. But then again, it's Conference League. Doesn't matter. Not Conference League. Nations League. It doesn't matter. So if they were going to sort of test him out and see how he's doing in net, then now might be a good time. And I feel like if he gets minutes here, he might push a little bit harder to leave Leeds in the winter. I know that's a bit of a step, but if he's like, oh, I've got an international career now, then he might sort of actively seek getting minutes in other places, in addition to just sort of floating around in the Wales side. Very sort of a complex situation for him to be in, but that is what we are looking at with Wales. We are looking at Turkey and how they are just generally a good side and could cause problems, and Montenegro, who are less great, to be honest, but they're still can be tough opposition there. Next up, we have Brendan Aaronson, who is going on an adventure, playing against two sides. He's playing against New Zealand, but we are not caring about the New Zealand match. The match that we are caring about instead is the USMNT against Canada. Now, normally, don't give a crap. Could not care about Canada. But Leeds' own supervillain is managing Canada at the moment, being Jesse Marsch, which I think could be very, very interesting. Because Aaronson was signed for Leeds United, initially by Jesse Marsch to be part of this big Jesse Marsch project that ended up not happening because Jesse Marsch wasn't very good. So is there going to be a little bit of uncomfortableness there? Are things going to be a little bit weird between everybody? I don't know. It's really hard to say. But also, yes, thank you, Danny. Smash a like and subscribe. There's 20-something of you here. And there's only 6 likes. It's making me real sad. Not as sad as I think Jesse Marsch will be feeling when he gets absolutely demolished but I feel like that could be good fun. And in addition to that, it's important to note that currently the manager of the US men's national team is Mauricio Pochettino. And we know quite a bit about Mauricio Pochettino. We know that Pochettino is a pretty good manager who knows what he's doing, but in addition to that, we know that Pochettino is one of those managers that is considered a disciple of Bielsa, which I think could be very, very important to this, because I'm very curious about how an Aaronson would have worked in a Bielsa-style system, because we know that it's a lot about running and physicality and putting yourself about, and we know that Aaronson's about that right now. So how would he have fit into a Bielsa side? Because word was Aaronson was going to be a Bielsa signing anyway, if we were going to have kept Bielsa for another season. So it's important to sort of see, like, in that regard, would Orta's scouting have worked, or would it have not worked and there would have been problems? I'm not entirely certain, but I think that could be a very interesting match anyway, partially because there's a lot of ex-Leeds players in there, there's a current Leeds player in there, there's an ex-Leeds manager in there, there's our ex-manager's disciple in there. It's a very Leeds-loaded match that could be very fun to watch, in my opinion. But we have examined the Americas, we have examined Europe, and I think we could do with a little bit of an examination of Asia, because Tanaka has a couple of matches. He has a match against China, and he has a match against Bahrain. And I think of all of our most recent batch of signings, Tanaka's one of those players that I have the most questions for. First up, I'm very curious about what sort of player he actually is. Tanaka is very clearly a talented footballer. He's a very good passer of the ball. And I think it's something that we should be really paying attention to in this international break, if there is any of this that you want to watch. Because that's completely up to you, obviously. But if you do, I think Tanaka's performance against China is going to be really, really important if he plays. Because then we can get an idea of, is he that playmaker, or is he more of a sort of sit-in, box-to-box kind of thing, or is he just a straight defensive midfielder, or can he do everything? And admittedly, Japan, you're not necessarily going to start the games, because there's a hell of a lot of talent in Japan right now. So Celtic have multiple Japanese players. They've got Kyogo, they've got Hatate. There is Wataru Endo, who is at Liverpool at the moment. There's a bunch of others that are effectively going to make it very, very hard for Tanaka to get into that first team for Japan. But ultimately, finding out what sort of player he is going to be really important to us. And in addition to that, does he have what we need? We know that Bahrain isn't a good side. We know that China isn't a good side. I had a quick look through China's national team squad recently, and they don't have a single player that plays outside of China, because they're very centric and insular. And I think they don't even have, like, training from non-Chinese staff members. So it's very, to put it an anglicised way, it's quite championshipy, League One-y over with the Chinese squad, which means that we can sort of pay attention to, okay, how does he do against this rough level? How does everything work out? Also, Richard, you're a little bit spammy there, bud. I would do a little bit less of the spamming, especially since all the messages are approximately the same. But it could be good to pay attention to know if Tanaka is good, and I will be keeping an eye on this because I'm working on a weird Japanese highlights show tomorrow, which I believe will have highlights from that match. I think I'm live streaming when the match itself is on. So, in fact, don't go and watch Tanaka's match tomorrow. Watch my stream with, I think, Crystal. But yeah, it could be an interesting watch that gives us a little bit more of an indication on what exactly is going on with Tanaka. And beyond that, we've done Asia, we've done Europe. How about Europe that isn't actually Europe? And our final set of matches that we need to keep an eye on are Manor Solomon's. I've called this Solomon Struggles because he is someone that has been struggling with injuries and stuff like that. So that knee injury last season that kept him out for the entire year. This set of matches brings up two questions, in my opinion. Question number one, how does he do against top-tier opponents? So looking at that Belgium squad, it's a very, very good side. Looking at that Italy squad, it's also a very, very, very good side. So how does Solomon do? Because we know that Manor Solomon is, at the end of the day, Spurs' player. And if they want to keep him at the end of the season, fine. But this is a good way of checking out how exactly Manor Solomon does against good tier opposition, because then you can scale it and go, okay, this was against a really good team. How's he going to do against championship level sides? It's a good sort of point of comparison where we can learn exactly what we can expect from Solomon for the rest of the season. And the other question that we have to ask around Manor Solomon is, can he stay fit? Which is a big and spooky question, because he's someone that is known to be injury prone, and that's a pretty significant issue when we've got him for a season. And we don't know whether it's going to be worth having him for that season if he stumbles and falls and has problems. Big question, in my opinion. And it's a question that I don't really want us to answer with, he got injured, because that would be a problem, in my opinion. But that's basically the list of international matches that I think we need to be paying attention to. I've left England and stuff off, because if you care about England, then you'll just watch the England match anyway. I'm also going to skip some ads. Sorry, guys. But yeah, that's it. And I'm going to bring it over to the chat, hop over to Questions Corner, where we can have a little bit of a natter. And this is roughly what we'll be doing for the rest of the stream, unless you're watching this in video format, in which case tell me what you're thinking in the comments down below, and like and subscribe and all that fun stuff, because we are in what I'm going to henceforth describe as content hell, where absolutely nothing happens because YouTubing is a nightmare when it comes to non-transfer window times, and especially non-actual football times, because I love talking about actual football, but we've not got any, which is annoying. But let's hop back over to Questions Corner. We got a first question from SpongeBob Dave. With Coop's deal to Hull falling through, and if his move to Sofia doesn't happen, is it worth offering a short-term contract? Maybe offer him 6 months, 12 months. There's no harm in it, I think. But yeah, I think it's probably worth some form of contract, just because you might as well at that point. He's not going to cost you too much to keep around, unless we are really tight on PSR. Like, we don't know what the numbers look like, but I don't want us to pull a Leicester and go, oh, actually, no PSR for us because we're special. I'd like us to get promoted the right way rather than trying to force it through the wrong way, if that all makes sense. I'm also going to run a quick poll. This is a potentially important poll that will define very little. Well, it'll define the series that I'm doing with Joe very soon. And the question goes, what? No, how do I phrase it? Well, the FM series with Joe. Do we continue the new save? I know it's annoying, we just started a save, but yeah. Or do we do our own summer window together? I think that could be fun, just arguing over players that we need to sign or don't need to sign. Hello, you have missed a quick discussion on the various matches to keep an eye out for in this international break. So just to be sort of specific, the Wales gang are playing against Turkey and Montenegro, which could be worth paying attention to, because we don't know what Ampadu's role is going to be in that Wales squad and how that could reflect into his time at Leeds. Aaronson's got a nice adventure against Canada. It'd be interesting to see how he faces off against Marsh, and also how exactly he'll work in a Bielsa-style system that Pochettino will have them playing in. Tanaka against China and Bahrain, we can learn what sort of player he is, and ultimately if he has what we need at Leeds United. And Manor Solomon, it's worth seeing how he does against top-tier opponents in the form of Belgium and Italy, and whether or not he'll feel like fit enough. And then we're just hopping into Questions Corner, having a little bit of a natter. It's not going to be the longest of streams today, by the way, because I am currently in a fight to the death with Spotify, because it keeps skipping the end of me songs. And a lot of the time, the end of songs are very good. That's why we have them. That's why we don't do the 80s thing anymore, of just sort of let it play out to an end and it's just the same rhythm repeating and repeating. That doesn't work. It's looking like you folks want us to do our own summer window together, which I think could be very interesting. We'll still have lost the likes of Somerville, Rutter, Gray, because I think that makes it a little bit too easy to have them. Like, it's good for us to try and actively, like, replace them, you know? Let's have a look. My middle name isn't Matthew, Richard. Isn't there a contract in place for Coops if everything else fails? There was one in the beginning of summer. Wonder if it's still active. It might be. But I can see us also potentially going, well, no, because we put that bid on the table and you didn't want to sign it. So why would we reoffer the exact same deal now? I can see us trying to go like, no, we're not going to pay you exactly what we were going to before because you didn't want to be here. Yeah, could be a confusing one though. Hey Joe, loved you winding up locks earlier. I love winding up locks. It's great fun. It brings me joy and pleasure. And I'm glad it did for you too. Just because it's I'm not going to do a video on it because it's not worth the attention. But it's annoying, is all I've got to say. Because they very clearly did cheat to get promoted, and they very clearly cheated the season before, and it didn't work. But the fact that your cheating didn't work doesn't mean that it shouldn't be punished. Which, yeah. And the fact that it's seen as some big victory for Leicester is like, you should probably try and win games on the pitch, rather than in a courtroom. Because that's not what we want football to be. That's it. Yeah, I don't think we particularly need Cooper. I just think it's an interesting conversation to have when he's floating about in the ether as a free agent. But, well. If we avoid any injuries before next transfer window, do we need to make any more signings? I think that's less a case of injuries and more a case of form. So if we're looking genuinely completely fine, and we've not had any problems going forward, and we are attacking excellently, and we are defending excellently, because we've not conceded in 3 games. I mean, come on. And I think open play XG for the entire season so far in the league has been less than 1. That's XG against us. So I think if we keep these performances going, I don't think we need anything. I think we're fine. But it's confusing. Ooh. Lawyers are the only one enjoying the situation with the Prem and EFL being clueless on how to enforce their own rules. Yeah, I think you mentioned it in Joe's chat earlier, where it's like, why are you not just working together on this? Because you've got identical regulations and we're just not using them. Is there a reason we're not using them? Or is it just the fact that you're feeling a little bit lazy or spiteful or something stupid? And I'm not buying this narrative about, excuse me, we're Leicester, we're the people's champions trying to bring football back from the Big Six. No, you're fucking not. You've done nothing to any of those clubs. All you have done is say, right, okay, so various clubs can go down at our expense because the way that they were spending their money was stupid, and even then they spent too much of it. And in addition to that, other clubs can stay down at our expense. And it's the same thing with Sheffield United. Because I'm guessing financially they were screwed when they managed to get themselves promoted. But they've cheated and gotten promoted, and if they do go down to the EFL again, well, they did, and they got a points deduction. But the fact of the matter is, it has to work once, and then, well done, you're at the EFL, you're not in the jurisdiction anymore. What? Why? Don't get it. Oh, it's infuriating. Right, also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end that poll, because it looks like we're just going to do our summer window together, which should be good fun. But I'm going to run another poll. I don't blame Leicester. I think it's embarrassing for the Premier League and EFL. No, but I blame Leicester because they're the ones that did the spending. I blame Leicester because they're the ones that cheated. I think the way that I phrased it was, It's like if in the O.J. Simpson doing a murder case, everyone was like, well, he did kill her on Friday and the deadline was Thursday, so it doesn't really work. You've still broken the rules. I'm going to run another poll, by the way. Co-op series, what do we do for the manager? Make a Joe Wayman. Make a Joe Blackburn. Or do we make a totally fictional manager? Bosh. And I will be taking suggestions, and we shall make the manager on this stream, because I think that could be quite fun. This way you can sympathise with fans who just said, feck it, keep Archie, etc., and take the points deduction, or just get promoted. Yeah, but the thing was, at that point, we hadn't had the case of Leicester just sort of, even when they get promoted, just not getting a points deduction because reasons. It's so stupid. Just want them relegated. Sod it. Why are we following the rules when they don't even know what their own loopholes are? Ideally, there's not any loopholes anyway. We're completely loophole free. That'd be good. That'd be absolutely wonderful. But make the manager Joe Pasquale. I'm not making the manager Joe Pasquale. I will take suggestions for the manager, but it will not be Joe Pasquale. In fact, what I'll do is I will start a Q&A thing. Which I believe all you have to do is pop a reply thing in it. I've not actually had a Q&A thing work for me before, so we'll find out. Also, ads will be running in a moment. I will, as always, do the suggestion of just open it, clear it out, bosh, easy, done. But, yeah. Anyway, thankfully, the next door neighbours have stopped using an angle grinder, which is really good. I'm a big fan of the way that they keep doing that as well. Like, I can appreciate a bit of DIY, but to that extent is a little bit nuts. Why are we just naming people called Joe? Also, I've not had anything pop through in the questions thing, because I kind of want that thing to work, but it doesn't, and I don't know why it doesn't. I've never seen it actually function. Joe's streaming on FIFA. That's a fun hiccup on FIFA. Very nice. Yeah, I'll ping you over in his direction when we are done, but we are just making a manager first. Live. Click it. There we go. SpongeBob Dave said Bielsa. I don't want to just do straight Bielsa though. That's the thing. Please, can you use Joe Exotic? Don Scheich. We'll take one more suggestion and then we'll just use that as the options for the thing. But it's good to know that the thing works. That helps. Done Revy angle grinder making another loophole note. I like it. So far, we have 3 options for our poll. Once we have the 4th, we will offer them out, unless we want to go with the Revy suggestion that's in the chat. Or we do Joe Wayman, but with hair. I think that could be a fun one. Right, so I'll end that Q&A. And then I will... Shit. Hold on. A 4th one had popped up right at the end, but I hadn't seen what it said, which is annoying, but that's okay. Who do we make the manager? of football managers. G.I. Joe. I kind of like that. I prefer that to the Revy show. Because I don't want to go for a real life manager. Okay. Have a few others, but could be seen as questionable. No, you know what? Suggest them, and we'll see if they go in the poll. So we've had Joe Exotic suggested. Don Seich. Lee Chapman. I think on-football related people is probably for the best. Although, ideally not, because I know what online chats can be like. We're not going down the German leaders route, to be clear. So we've got Joe Exotic, we've got Don Scheich. Let's add Joe Wainman, but I like Joe Wainburn. Joe Wainman with hair is what we'll call Joe Wainburn. And then one more. Sorry, G.I. Joe. Why not? That'll do. Cool. And then once we have picked, I shall click the Start a New Career button. Right, original mode, advanced setup. To be fair, like Joe Wainburn is also an exotic Joe, so that also counts for like Joe Exotic votes. But if you've not voted, hop over, pop a vote in. That could be lovely. What leagues do we need? We need France, Italy, Netherlands would be good. Norway, Turkey's a decent league. Portugal's a strong league. Add MLS and Mexico. We'll add Argentina and Brazil. Chuck the Japanese leagues in there. Maybe Belgium for the funsies. Oh my god, 105,000 people in this playlist. Okay, right, you're playable, and then I will make so much of this view only that it is unreal. Although weirdly, last time I did this, I couldn't view Ilan Cabal, which is bizarre. Cool. And then 50-50. God damn it. No, it's looking like Joe Wainburn. Yeah, it's firmly Joe Wainburn. Right, in that case, I will get the screen shared. Bosh. Cool. Are there any leagues that I haven't shared already that you think it would be a good idea to share? Not shared, added. I'm guessing you can read that, but if not, you can tell by the flags. It's fine. I'll be honest, I don't know how visible all this is. Because it's chaos. Austria's league isn't great, but we might steal some Salzburg players, so let's add that. Australia, perhaps? Yeah, we'll add Australia. Why not? We'll add South Africa as well, just because I imagine that's helpful. MLS, we've got MLS, don't we? I'll do Colombia and Uruguay as well. Not doing Russia. Not a big fan of them. They can frankly stay away. I'll add Sweden as well and Denmark. But you are being very much view only. Thank you, friends. To make things a little bit easier. Have I just made England view only? I did. Yep. Good one. View only. And then you are also view only. This is the bit of doing an FM save that no one enjoys doing. It's the boring bit. So the only league that we can play in is England. Random question. My wife and son are keen to go to Turkey on holiday, but I've refused for years. What's other folks' views on holidaying in Turkey? I wouldn't blame... I don't want to blame an entire nation for the actions of a few people within it. And the fact that some genuinely horrific human beings have been genuinely horrific doesn't mean that everyone else deserves to be sort of squished down as a result. I think holidaying is fine, to be completely honest with you. And it looks like we'll be making Joe Wainburn. Okay. So only one playable league, which should be English. It is. Very, very slow game. But that's to be expected. I'll do that for most of the regions. Should speed things up a touch. And then start game. 53 leagues from 23 nations. Jesus. It's a lot of countries. And this setting up a database bit could take forever, so I'm going to hop back to my face now. Hello! I also need to get EAFC working on PC. Could be a problem. See, normally I wouldn't particularly consider it, but I'm kind of doing some potential work relating to it, so it's a little bit tough. Also, fun thing is I'm going to republic the stream with Crystal, and it's going to be set to tomorrow because I believe that's the plan. Don't know what time, but we'll find out. Cool, that's saved now. Choose or create a manager profile. So we are creating a new profile. And it will be Joe Wainburn, which I think could be fun. So I'll re-add it now. You guys are going to have to be my guide here. Joe Wainburn is a dude, English, place of birth. Joe was born in Halifax, wasn't he? Let's find the midpoint between where I grew up and Halifax. Was that Halifax or Hebden Bridge? I don't know. Measure distance to... there. Bad news. It looks like the midpoint there is probably Bradford-ish, which isn't good. Um, I am hiding my screen for this bit because I don't want everyone to be able to steal my identity or know where I was born because that would be weird. Yeah, it comes out as Bradford. It's gonna have to be Bradford. I'm so sorry. Oof. Date of birth. Don't know when Joe's date of birth is. Favorite team. I wonder. Let's not do teaching about key things. Cool. Body. We are both white as hell, which is fair. Hang on. Hang on. I don't know if you've just been here. That's okay. It has to be ginger. Do they have to be ginger? I do not know how audible that is, but good God, Joe is happy about Pat Bamford right now. I've just put, yo, Joe, how tall are you? Don't ask why I'm asking. Can't hear anything. Ah, I feel like we're not going to find out, are we? We're not going to find out. On the other end, not your end. Yeah, that's fine. That's okay. In fact, I'll fix it. Why not? 5'8". 5'8". Really? Thank you. Um, well, in that case, our version of Joe is going to be 5'8". What's 5'8" in centimeters? There we go. 172. Uh, I'll I'll claim skinniness. I'll 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 claim dibs on that. Um, and then over to the head. Hairstyle. Right, what are we doing? Are we doing my hairstyle but with Joe's gingerness? Is that the plan? That feels like the plan. I think. Hmm. Hmm. Do we just go a bit wild? Do we do this, but do we do like this, but ginger? Do we do this? Something along these lines, you know? Because I don't know which of this hair looks a bit my hairish. I mean, none of it because it's very ginger, but bit of that maybe. Right, this is hair one, and then this is hair two. Hair two is more sensible, but just pick whether we're going hair one, hair two. First people in chat to mention, let me know. So this is 1. This is 2. What's the plan? I think hair 1. Hair 1 is fun. Hair 1 is wild. I think we got to do it. Oh, we're going 2 though. Rest of chat, what are we thinking? We're going 2. Oh, okay. We're going a bit more sensible. Cool. Facial structure. I'm not going to start dragging faces around. I do not have the ability to be attentive enough for that. I'm going to go no freckles just because it helps the face stand out a bit more. What's the beard looking like right now, Joe? Do we go that? That but ginger. I think that's about right, you know. Cool. I'll claim some brown on the eyes. Eyebrows. Joe's not really got them, but mine are quite big, so I'm gonna go big but ginger to find. That's a monobrow. We've got a monobrow. We've committed, and then on to attire. So, do we want to go suity? Do we want to go tracksuity? Do we? What feeling are we going for? Are we going for a little bit of this? Gingers are renowned for having freckles. That's what makes our ginger special. Okay. Do we want suit and scarf, which feels a little bit weird? I quite like just come back from the basketball court. I'll be completely honest with you. I think that could be fun. It's a good aesthetic. We'll do that. Will we do that? Or would we rather a suit? Relying on you folks. For now, we'll go with this. And then we'll go the most Leeds United-y bright yellow t-shirt, blue shorts. No, they've got to be blue shorts. And trainers. Trainers can be white. I think trainers we go white. Look at that. Look at that. Nice. Ability aids. Do we want a hearing aid? No, what we'll do is we will instead, yeah. So in the left ear, I'll add an earpiece, and that's me being in Joe's ear, discussing the plans in the world of the game. Okay. This one has to be a poll. Kind of tempted. It could be good, you know? Could be good for us. I like the way that the eyebrow pushes through it as well. That really adds to the effect. It's definitely helping the situation. Cool. And then accessories. We'll go with a nice. That's what we'll do. We'll have a guy that doesn't know how to tell the time, and as a result has a watch on each hand, just to make sure. What? No, I don't think we'll add face paint. No. Oh, you can't have glasses and an eye patch. That's a little bit of a shame. Let's not throw out the accusations before. I know that we like looking for Wonder Kids, but we're not going there. I'll go no bling, no nothing. We're going simple. We're going simple. Ring, you've not really got many options. And it's on the middle finger for some reason, so let's just not. Oh! Okay, never mind. Cool. Cheers, team. It will be Leeds, because of course it will. I'll go for the default managerial style. And let's start playing, shall we? We're not actually playing right now. I'm just getting the save set up. Just because it'll help things. I've got to get a screenshot of that. How are we saying that we lost the eyeball? Like shooting accident? Something weird like that? Have we got any ideas in mind, or are we just sort of freewheeling it? Cool, fine. Let's not do the press conference. Backroom stuff. We'll have a meeting every fortnight. And then collab. And that'll be fun. And I will save most of this for when Joe is here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to go back to here. And I think I'm going to end stream in a minute. Just because I'm a little bit tired. And I have shit to continue to do. Which is exhausting. Which is good. Peeping in a women's shirt. Stop it. No. We're not doing that. Eyeball plucked out Kill Bill style. I can accept that one. Because that one is slightly less horrifying. But either way, I do hope you enjoyed this stream. If you did, just like, subscribe, leave comments and stuff. You could even be a channel member. It is 99p a month. But everyone in the chat right now is a member, and I really appreciate that. Thank you very much, guys. So I'm going to do a redirect to Joe's FIFA stream. And yeah, going to call it there. Hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, all that shebang. And I will see you later. Toodaloo.